all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
pullback
to
to
enter
cross
long
structure.
trade.
Hey everyone, just a quick update video as we are mid-dump after the ETF delayed. No surprise that the ETF has been delayed, in my opinion. That was the very likely scenario, and we're now looking towards September, and then it will likely get delayed again. And as soon as that ICE news the other day that we were talking about, as soon as that came out, that pretty much ensured to me that we are going to get an ETF. It's just a question of when, and I do believe that that exchange needs to be set up and federally regulated and, you know, running smoothly before we get this ETF approval. So if that exchange can get up and running by Q1 2019, there is the potential that we just get delay, and then approval of this ETF. If that's not the case and it takes longer to get up and running, then I do believe that we will likely get denied, and then they'll just appeal it further down the road, and it will get approved sometime in 2019. So as of right now, we are testing our key support, which is the low of Bitcoin at this point, and we had an equilibrium forming this morning, and it's another one of those moves where I absolutely expected a pullback this morning after a 4-hour lower high, essentially a double top, but it was a lower high by $11, and I was surprised the bulls held up as well as they did. Then the news hit, and we instantly headed down to support, 68.40, so by the time this video is over, we're going to be able to determine, you know, are we going to break that 68.40 support level, or are the bulls going to be able to hold it? The odds obviously favor the bears at this point. The only trade that the bulls have is a bottom fishing play with 68.40 support and a stop loss, you know, if that level were to break. Next support, if 68.40 breaks, we got 6,800, and then I'm looking down. Really, I have to look to the 4-hour time frame and scroll way back and can see that the last consolidation support for price levels is 66.64. So that would be the next one to be watching. And at this point on the 5-minute time frame, we just formed a new resistance of 69.15. Anything under that level is a lower high on the 5-minute time frame. Tons of action today all over the place. I traded Tesla like a madman 30-something times today, and now we got this news on Bitcoin, certainly favoring the bears and potentially leading to another leg down. We're getting all kinds of bear breaks across the board on these other altcoins. Look at Ethereum, weekly bear flag following through in a big way. 4-hour could not have a more clear equilibrium break bearish. It's just a very easy short setup where we have our low of consolidation, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high. As soon as we break 401 and 450, we just fall all out dump. And if you went short off the break of 400, at this point, that is an instant, 6% so far. And take that back, less than that. It is an instant 4% so far. But it's increasing bear volume. Everything's back to oversold. Another leg down on the daily. And you can see that we are approaching our only support in sight. The support that Litecoin broke long ago, as Litecoin is currently in free fall, perhaps in the 60s by now. But 363.33 and 360 actually, 360 on the dot is the must-hold level for ETH, which we are approaching. If we break it, the next clear weekly support is 275. So it is very clear that the bears are still sticking around, and it's really up to that ETF to say BTC and try and change this trend, because again, this trend is not going to change. The fact that the market is focusing on that so much right now, that's really the next catalyst. There could be some surprise catalysts between now and then, but it's almost like the market's going to just be trading and waiting about this ETF, because that's the next major event in terms of the next short-term window, perhaps the next 3 to 6 months. So we have to keep that in mind, that I do believe Bitcoin is going to maintain some significant dominance in this space because of that fact. As long as this ETF is the dangling carrot down the road, the longer that BTC is going to stay more favorable than most of these altcoins. Obviously, some altcoins like ETC are going to be able to do their own thing, but most will not. So here is ETH absolutely dumping. The hourly RSI is 15. The 4-hour RSI back to oversold down to 25. And the 15-minute RSI is under 20. So this is a scenario where I would be looking for an oversold bounce for a quick flip, but we have to keep in mind that Bitcoin is not as oversold. So Bitcoin could continue down and drag those ETH levels to more extreme levels. So the hourly RSI is not oversold on Bitcoin. Neither is the 4-hour. So keep that in mind. Yes, we are crushed on ETH and we are looking for short-term bounces, but overall Bitcoin is not. And even just these little bounces, if you are a bull, make sure and protect those trades. Either go break even and go for a bigger trade or lock in that profit when you have it. We just bounced 383 up to 389, a quick 2% bounce in 12 minutes. So there are volatile opportunities there. Just keep in mind that the bears have complete favor. New Ethereum resistance, 389.80, and we're testing the low. Checking back in on Bitcoin, still battling in its tight range, trying for the 5-minute higher low and higher high for a more significant bounce. ETH/USD, we're getting information today about Coinbase enabling withdrawals and deposits. And then we have to watch this Tesla news. And then we have the trading going to begin in a couple days. This is a sell the news event. Keep in mind that the price has run for days leading up into this anticipation. And we had a scenario where we had our high and we pulled back, saw healthy consolidation, formed a higher low. And then as soon as we were unable to break this resistance of 2080, that is when everybody literally ran to the exit. So we had the bulls start. We say, oh, good bull news. Here we go. And as soon as we set that lower high, it just is a free fall dump, a quick bull attempt, and then an all-out dump. So a bounce attempt here as well. 15-minute RSI oversold. Hourly and 4-hour are not oversold. Keep that in mind. At this point, the high of the bounce attempt, looking at 1737 resistance, and support is down at 1701. So these are scenarios where we have clear short-term supports to be using as potential stop levels for bottom fishing plays. But aside from those supports, there's not a whole lot close by. If we were to see a break on ETC below 1701, then we're looking down, next levels all the way down at 1654. So again, that's the same scenario that we're seeing on all of these names like Ethereum and Litecoin on their weekly chart, because we ran so hard in 2017 that when we hit an area with a lack of support, the price dropped significantly. And just looking at Litecoin real quick, again, the next weekly support on Litecoin, the clear consolidation low is 50.25. The daily chart, a little bear flag, continuation down. 4-hour RSI just getting oversold. Hourly just oversold. 15-minute trying for a weak bounce attempt at this point. So overall, I have no interest in anything bullish because they are falling knives to a certain degree. Only Bitcoin has a clear setup still here, and it's still a 4-hour equilibrium unless we break 6840. If we see some bounce recovery and the bulls head back up to 7,000, we'll be right back in the middle of that equilibrium. The odds still favor the bears, but if we get this bull break and a move over 69.15, then we'll be watching this 4-hour equilibrium into tonight. So the bears are still comfortable. This is the bear news that, again, it was a middle of the road scenario. If we get a rejection, the bears run with it for days. If we get a bull reaction, we get a breakout in a big way. And now we get the delay. Again, the most likely scenario. So let's see if the market did a good job pricing it in. And what that means is if we don't see a huge reaction to a news event, that means the market anticipated it well. So this is definitely a reaction. But if you look at the 4-hour time frame, I mean, we had a much more significant bearish reaction with no news associated with it multiple times on this pullback. So that tells me that the market, number one, was anticipating this as the most likely scenario, and number two, did a pretty decent job of pricing it in. We could break 6840 still and drop to another leg down, but again, just the fact that, you know, this is the bear news that the bears were waiting for in the short term, and the fact that we're not seeing anywhere near as weak as some of these other legs down that we saw previously over the last few days does stand out to me. So let's see if the bulls can get any kind of follow through on this bounce. And again, there's two scenarios. Bulls get followed through, 4-hour equilibrium to be watching into tonight. If we drop down to a lower low, back to watching oversold RSI levels. At this point, I have no interest in any oversold bounce attempts unless we see 4-hour, hourly, and 15-minute. All three RSI levels need to be down in the mid-20s at least for me to be interested in attempting to scale into any kind of oversold bounce attempt. So that's where I currently stand, and that's where a lot of the market is going to currently be standing. And this daily chart, the fact that we have just dropped from 8,200 down to 68 is with no bounce on the daily time frame, a very weak bounce attempt, but it is obviously showing a lot of bear volume, and that sentiment is right back to bearish. So there's our weekly lower high being set. Bulls are still likely to form a higher low on the weekly. In my opinion, in order to see a breakdown of this weekly chart and continuation below 5,700, it's going to require a higher low, which will look to form somewhere perhaps in the mid 6,000s, and then a lower high on a weak bounce attempt, and then a bear break. Because again, the fact that we have this news and we're still currently $1,100, almost 20%, a little bit less than that, maybe 16% above the support. With this news hitting us in the face full force right now, this is the bears, doing everything they can and the bulls running for the exit, but we're still significantly above this support level, which is why I do still anticipate the weekly higher low to form. There's just no sign of it forming just yet. That's where we stand overall. I appreciate you watching. Just going to do this quick update. Got to meet a member in town. Got to go over tons of Tesla trading opportunity. Again, I'm sticking with the tech sector right now. The last 2 weeks has had a ton of volatility in the overall markets. I haven't been trading Canadian MJ. Canadian MJ is slowing down. I haven't been trading much crypto as I'm waiting for more clarity in crypto, but there's always somewhere to be trading, which is the best part about utilizing technical analysis and being comfortable with it to apply it anywhere. So continue to do good things. Met another homeless man last night and talked with him for a brief bit. And he didn't ask me for any money. So if you don't ask me, if you're homeless and you don't ask me for money, you're instantly getting money. That's a bonus. And I did discover some more videos from the road trip. So this current clip is from, I told that story about all the banana slugs. And this is from the coast in California off of Highway 1. This is just one of those camping spots where, it's $10 to camp or something. Might have even been free. And it's the kind of scenario where if you go on a weekday, there's literally no one there. So this entire footage that you're about to see, we had this whole place, this whole beach, literally not a person around for, a couple days. And it was absolute paradise. So hope you have a good night. All about 68.40. Let's see what the Bulls can do in terms of defense. See you soon. Fire pit.
Walk over the net.
Got our tour guide and photographer here.
Oh.
Oh.
Watch out for the slugs.
Watch out for the slugs. Oh, we gotta show the camera the slug.
They're everywhere.
Slugs.
Yeah, we got snake. Snake trail.
Snake trail. Oh yeah, that's python right there.
Doubles, dude.
Double python with a boa constrictor.
Could be bikes too. I got my knife.
It's like we're in Jurassic Park here.
It's ready.